Hi guys, so I'm just past 3 months in now. Wanted to give an update. I noticed after about a month where initially, of course they were twisted from the roots all the way to the knot. They were brushed out, detangled, very smooth, and after about a month it was like if I ran my fingers along them I could sort of feel this little patches, I can still feel now where it's like little tiny tangles starting to form where you can feel a little bit of a rougher texture amidst the smoothness. I know that after about 2 months I started to notice that a lot of these loops were showing up, sometimes not in the most convenient places. That was the point where I undid the knots and tried pulling the ends apart, and they were really solidly together. They wouldn't come apart. If I did pull them apart to some extent, then I might have been able to retwist it a bit tighter. It didn't make the loop smaller, but it made the twisted part at the base of the loop a bit tighter. So I've got these loops pretty much all over the place now. It is a normal part of the process that will eventually turn into with these, the way they're a bit curved and they kind of change directions every now and then. That's kind of what that loop becomes. That'll become an angle where it'll kind of veer off in another direction. Yeah. And after about 2 months, I also noticed that there's a few these here. Yeah. Where it's the texture has become really rough already, and they're definitely more advanced than the others. This one even, this is a new one, and it's got this rougher texture pretty much the whole length, and kind of blends in fairly well with the older ones that I've had for over a year now. If I squeeze both of them, it's both of them kind of give. I can squeeze them in kind of like a sponge, but the newer one just feels a little bit softer, and the older one feels just more solid. This part here where it's thinner definitely feels more solid. Farther down is where I had the rubber band, which I cut out, so now it feels a little bit hollow. I think the ones in areas where they have more friction, like if I have my hair pulled up, and the back ones here are maybe rubbing against the couch or something, or if it's down then it would be the ones here. Those are the ones that are farthest along, I think, because they have more friction. About a month ago, when I was at a friend's place, it was really hot in the house, and I would get my hair wet several times a day just to keep cool. So of course during that time it was really fuzzy and dry, because I wasn't adding oil or gel or anything to it. So now of course it definitely looks just not as tame as it did initially, where you could clearly see all of the roots. But I think this is also a natural part of the process. No matter what I'd done, it probably would have ended up looking more or less the way it does now. I just washed it and tried to retwist it, make it as neat as possible, and it still looks, definitely a little bit more chaotic than it did initially. And another part of that is that the twisted part, so at the beginning it was twisted all the way, and now it's the twisted part is kind of just concentrated in the bottom half, which is where it's gonna lock first, but then the top half is just loose hair. So of course it makes sense that it would look a little bit looser around the roots. It's summer. I can get the bottom half wet and wear it curly and it looks nice. But I also have been pulling my hair back too. I'll just wear it like maybe like fully pulled back in a ponytail, but I feel more so just like kind of like half pulled back or braided or something like that. So I can do quite a few different things with it, and I feel like a lot of times that looks a lot better than just wearing it down at this point. However, if I do pull it back, where it gets tricky is these little hairs like this, where they aren't long enough to pull all the way back, so I have to tuck them under and hope that they don't slip out. But then, you know, if I'm sitting there and I start playing with my hair, I start sort of like pulling them out one by one and playing with them, and then I have to take it down and redo it all. But yeah, I can definitely tell that they're starting to get a little bit more body to them, like especially these strands here, where they were just really thin at the beginning. They're starting to fill out a little bit more. You can see that they've got that sort of like cylindrical shape. Even though a lot of the roots appear to be just loose hair, they are still slightly twisted, so that when I pull my hair back, you can see that there's all of these like individual all of these individual twists being kind of like, you know, going in a certain direction or something. At this point, I kind of feel like it's probably not even that obvious to most people that I'm working on dreads. I'm sure that people who've done this themselves can recognize the direction this is going in, but most people are probably just like, what is she doing with her hair? Because it is in this really in-between stage right now, but it is definitely starting to take shape. It's going places. This is the point where I brushed out the bottom half last time, so I'm looking forward to the whole progression. I know for a fact that it's gonna work because of these guys I've got at the bottom that I did leave in for over a year now. And yeah, so interested to see what will come.